Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Agajanana Padmarkam Gajananam Aharnisham Anekadam Tam Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahi. Welcome to all for this special session on Ganesha Purana. We are now in chapter 29. In the last few chapters, we were hearing the story of King Bhima and his wife who did not had any children because of the mistake he committed that he did not continue the family tradition of worshipping Gajanana. He came to know about this from sage Vishwamitra that he missed in this. So, in that connection, how it became their tradition, the one of the forefathers named Daksha, who because of the blessings of Gajanana became the king of that Kaundinya Nagara for which Bhima was the king. After hearing all these things, King Bhima had rectified, I mean, he had reinstalled and re-established the Gajanana temple that was in the past built by Daksha and started doing the worship of Gajanana. And with the blessings of Gajanana, King Bhima had got a son named Rukmangada, who was educated in all aspects and he was an expert warrior. Seeing the prospects of his son, he appointed him as the king. Later one day, Rukmangada went for hunting, and on the way, he had lost the path and got separated from his other people and entered the hermitage of sage Vachaknavi. At that time, sage Vachaknavi was about to leave for his ritual bath, and he asked his wife Mukunda to take care of the guest. However, Mukunda got lust and she got attracted to the beauty of King Rukmangada and she wanted him to satisfy her. King Rukmangada, with all his senses in his control, he rejected her advances and told that she is equivalent to his mother and he walked out of their ashrama, walked out of their hermitage. Mukunda was completely disregarded. Mukunda was completely disgusted about this rejection and she cursed the king, saying that let leprosy shall attack you. And that immediately got attacked onto the king. That's because that woman, the wife of Vachaknavi, was indeed a very devoted wife. But somehow, for some unknown reason, for something good that is supposed to happen in future, Mukunda at that time got into a lust with King Rukmangada, and because of that reason, whatever word she uttered became true. And now King Rukmangada, sitting alone under a banyan tree and is separated from all his fellow people, decided to give up his life. So he took fast unto death. Let us see what is now going to happen. As the story continues, as King Rukmangada was sitting below that banyan tree for quite a long time, one day while sitting under that banyan tree, King from afar saw the divine sage Narada, who happens to be the bull of the sages, that means the greatest among the Devarishis. He bowed to Narada and requested, please rest for a moment. Then Narada, a repository of compassion, descended from his atmospheric divine path after he had honored the sage, after Rukmangada had honored the sage to the extent of his capacity, he respectfully addressed him. I am named Rukmangada, son of Bhima, who has vast strength. I was engaged in the hunt and came to Vachaknavi's hermitage, where I made a request for water because I was thirsty. O faultless sage! After the sage Vachaknavi had gone to bath, his exceedingly depraved wife, who was sick with desire, she kissed me with a mind corrupted by evil and herself tormented by arrows of Kama. She said, "Please enjoy me, but because of God's favor, I have conquered my senses." So I repulsed her. Then that extremely hurt woman, her mind turned cruel. She cursed me terribly, saying, "You are a very evil man. You shall become leprous because you are rejecting me who desired for you." As according to the Dharma, what applies during the Treta Yuga period, women have the freedom to choose a person with whom they can mate, irrespective of whether they are married or not. But at the same time, the Dharma also says that if a woman came with a desire to a man, it is the responsibility of the man to satisfy her and not to reject her. But here it's a different situation. King Rukmangada was treating Vachaknavi and his wife as equivalent to his own master, and he's treating them as equivalent to his parents, father and mother. So he was having a motherly feeling towards Sage's wife. That is why Rukmangada had rejected her advances. But in spite of that, as per the Dharma, since he had not satisfied her, whatever curse she planted on him got into its effect. Having heard that speech of his, the omniscient Narada was filled with compassion and spoke about the way to destroy his leprosy. Narada then said, "While I was coming here, I saw something that was utterly marvelous. In Vidarbha, Vidarbha is a region in the state of Maharashtra in India. In Vidarbha, there is a famous city called Kadamba, in which there is a temple where there is a really excellent and auspicious image of Vinayaka called Chinthamani, and it gives every wish to everyone. In front of the temple, there is a large tank which was previously which one of the Ganesha's footprints. That means one of the place where Ganesha is expected to be present. O king, a certain shudra who had eruptions of the skin and was worn out with old age, he came to that Kadamba town on the occasion of pilgrimage immediately after he had bathed in the Ganesha tank. He gained a celestial body. However, and ascending an excellent flying vehicle brought from heaven by the horse who had Ganesha's real appearance. He went to the highest heaven on reaching where nobody grieves or even falls back. It is assumed, as according to the Ganesha Purana, that there exists a Ganesha Loka which is above all other lokas, all other heavens. Like, for example, Kailasa, where the Shiva resides, Vaikuntha, where the Vishnu resides. The Ganesha Loka is above all of them. And because the Shudra, though he was not having any kind of a samskara to be of a higher class, either Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya, that Shudra who had never done anything good in his whole life, just because he bathed in that Ganesha Kunda, in the Chintamani Vinayaka place, so because of that reason, he attained the Ganesha Loka, for whom a Vimana, a sort of aerial vehicle, came from the Ganesha Loka, and that had taken him directly to that Ganesha Loka. So he is uttering about these things. O Indra of the kings, I myself have seen that place which is fit for bathing. After having bathed and worshipped the mighty gods who grants desirable things, give gifts to the Brahmins, and you will immediately become purified. And once you have completely cast off your withered skin, like a snake, you will become very handsome. After he had heard this very speech uttered by Narada, the excellent king said nothing at all. Immersed as he was in an ocean of bliss, ocean of bliss. But when the bull of sages Narada got ready to leave, he addressed him after he had respectfully bowed to and honored the sage again. Rukmangada said, O faultless sage, who previously gained good success in that sacred place, and who erected that beautiful image made of jewels and precious stones, which you called Vinayaka. Quite naturally, whenever we heard of something of a great place, of a great situation, we first wanted to hear who had made that situation, who had created that place, who installed the idol of Ganesha. Is there anyone else who had visited the same place and had got benefited? We wanted to know about it. It's like getting the testimonials about it. Tell me, my curiosity is very great, O sage, and the inclination of ascetics like you is to help others. Otherwise, there would be no point in you wandering amongst the people. Because Narada is a sage who keeps wandering from place to place across all the lokas. And quite naturally, he had no intention to visit anybody in that entire path of walking. His sole intention is to help the people who are in distress. That's what Rukmangada is addressing to Narada. In the worlds of cloud, rains, Kesha supports the earth, and sun too moves around continually for the benefit of people, O Brahmin, because everybody, whether it's a sun god who shines the earth, or whether it is a rain god who showers the earth, they all do it not for their benefit, they are doing it for the benefit of the people who are living here. And oh, great sage Narada, you are also someone equivalent to him in front of you who is impartial in respect of all beings and omniscient. What should one say who is lacking in sophistication and stupid? Repository, oh, repository of compassion. Nevertheless, you are a divine sage. I am still asking you to resolve this doubt. Who actually created that particular place called as Chintamani, and who constructed that pond called as Ganesha Kunda, and who all got benefited by visiting that particular spot? On hearing these questions, Narada replied to him, O king, who brings blessings to his people, you have asked a great question. I am satisfied with your statement and I will tell you everything about that. Thus ends the 29th chapter of Upasana Khanda of the glorious Ganesha Purana, in which Rukmangada was visited by great sage Narada, and Narada explained him about the divine spot called as Chintamani Vinayaka. Of course, naturally, we also would be having the doubt. Does it exist any such kind of a divine spots on the earth? But by just by simply visiting to the divine spot or having a dip in the pond there, whether all our diseases will be cured. Many times the disease what we are having, that is what is called as disease. That is basically psychosomatic in nature. And these so-called divine spots, I told in one of the previous chapters that in India, temples are constructed not merely for the praying of the god. Temples are constructed at the divine spots where the divine energy is at the peak. This was identified by the yogic power of the yogis, and they have identified the spot and installed a god in that place. Later, people who have the money, the kings and kings are the other rich people, they construct a temple around that divine spot. And that is how exactly a divine place comes into the picture. And by visiting to such place, that divine energy can act upon us. And because of that reason, there is a possibility if we are suffering from any psychosomatic kind of a disease, we may get cured out of it. And today, the medical science also tells about more than 80% of the diseases, even though physically manifesting, even such diseases are basically psychosomatic in nature, and these divine spots may be having that power. We have seen people who got cured by visiting to such divine spots. However, science has not yet well established to explain, give any explanation about that, nor the psychology could able to talk exactly about the same thing happening to everyone who visits there, because every individual nature will always be different. It all depends upon your devotion and your trust that something good and some miracle will always going to happen. It is that trust who will do the work. Namaste Sharada Devi Kashmir Puravasini Twamaham Prarthaye Nityam Vidya Danancha Dehime. Goodbye.